Hello. This is episode 13.1. I've been traveling and been super busy at work, so couldn't do any recordings for the last several weeks. and grappling with some other health issues, but never mind. Life must go on. The show must go on. So I'm continuing with my episodes. So this is 13.1. Where I left off to catch you up in 13.0 is uh, my personality had a very big change when I entered my 13th year. And number one, I was no longer in co-ed at school. And I really started pushing myself out of my comfort zone, got enrolled in a lot of sports, got enrolled in NCC, and just started trying a whole bunch of different things. I was really just wanted to put myself out there and try a lot of different things. And I continue to be the same, but I think I really enjoyed that period. It was a very, very significant year in my life. So I got into sports, NCC, everything extracurricular. Uh, I didn't do many changes up until that point as far as academics were concerned. And the reason I didn't do too many changes as far as academics were concerned is after that initial setback that I had in life with the sickness with the typhoid in my fourth grade. It took me a while, but I eventually came back to being a very high achiever academically. So I didn't think I needed to do any changes there. I was doing fine, or so I thought. What also happened in eighth grade is academically, some new subjects were introduced. Um, so until then, as far as sciences and social studies were concerned. So up until seventh grade, you had social studies. That's it. They were not, and I'm talking about the SSE secondary school certificate. I think that's the board system. You didn't have any division within social studies. It was all social studies. So now we had a division. We had civics, which was like political science and talks about government and politics and structure. And you had economics, which obviously it's economics. And you had geography. And I think you had one more: civics, economics, geography, history. How can I forget that? So, history. So, it actually got divided into four different subjects from eighth grade onwards. Similarly, in the mathematics area, also, it got divided into geometry, trigonometry, arithmetic, and algebra. So, four different subjects. And in sciences, it got divided into, um, again, four different subjects: organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, and biology, and there's one more. Physics. Physics. So it was a lot, I think, for all of us to take in. Maybe if we had studied in like a different kind of board, ICSE or CBSE syllabus, which are different syllabuses, you have these concepts. These are, I remember my brother's textbooks, or maybe they're also introduced later in that, but somehow it was a lot to take in, these clear demarcations. So up until that point, I knew I liked sciences, and I knew I wanted to become a doctor conceptually. But when it got divided into um, these three subjects, I realized that I really, really, really like biology. I was naturally very good at it, and naturally so. Um, and I was terrible at arithmetic. I was okay at trigonometry, and I was really good at geometry, really good, naturally good, and I was okay at algebra. Um, and in biology, I was very good, and chemistry, I struggled. I was not that great, and physics, I was even worse than chemistry. So it really confused me um, because I couldn't say I liked sciences, but I loved biology, but I didn't like the other sciences. Same way, I loved geometry, but I couldn't say I liked mathematics. So but I didn't like the other. I hated arithmetic. I really struggled with it. And Similarly, the same thing happened in social studies. I I was really really good at history, very good at it. Um, and to my surprise, I was fairly good at civics, and I was pretty good at economics. But again, I never saw myself other than history. I was not passionate. And English, I was always consistently good, and so thankfully nothing changed there. I continued to enjoy it, but I didn't quite like the poetry aspect of it. But more or less, oh, even English, it got divided. It got divided into poetry, prose, and there's another section called non-detail. What that means is you study a novel or whatever throughout the year. It's not so much like lessons and grammar. So I was excellent at grammar, and but I really struggled with the poetry aspect of it. It was too abstract for me, but I loved the prose. Continued to be good at it, continued to be excellent grammar. It was the same thing with Telugu Hindi. So suddenly I was completely lost, completely lost. If people asked me, uh, you know, what do you like, what do you dislike, um, I struggled to answer that. I couldn't tell you very clearly that I liked sciences or I liked mathematics or I liked um, English or I liked anything for that matter. Because there were aspects of all the subjects that I was supremely good, um, like first in class, but the same aspects or different aspects of the subjects. So I was very very lost, and this feeling of being lost started creating uh, signs of anxiety in me. At that point in time, I did not know it was anxiety, and I did not know what it was I was feeling. Um, and I didn't know where to go for help or how to get my roadmap for my future, for my academic future, and eventually my career. How to get that clear. Um, at home, I think my parents or my brother, like, um, their their concepts were very clear to them, in that they were not the kind of people who would say, oh, you have to be a doctor, or you have to be an engineer, um, or you have to get, first rank, or oh, why aren't you getting these many marks? They never gave any emphasis to that. So in that sense, I uh, I didn't have any pressure to kind of score first rank, or or oh, this is what you have to be and that's it kind of thing. And they never were people who calculated, oh, this profession makes a lot of money. So their guidance was always very, very simple, that you have to eventually um, be something or do something, a subject you like, follow your passion. Okay. Interestingly, this was the cause of all my confusion, because this made me more lost, because I thought the process now was not that I cannot say I want to be a doctor. I had all my life until then said I want to be a doctor. And I thought, oh, I'm so good at biology. Naturally, I'd want to be a doctor. That makes sense. But it was no longer like that. Now the process was like the way they thought they were guiding me and giving me flexibility, but that flexibility created more confusion, because now I was like, okay, now I have to go through this process of finding my passion. Okay. And it was so confusing, because amongst all the subjects, I was most passionate about biology. But I couldn't say I'll be a doctor, because to be a doctor, I also have to be good at physics and chemistry that I was struggling with, that I didn't like, that I didn't enjoy. I was really, really passionate about history, but I couldn't say I'll go into arts, because I didn't care much at all. I didn't. Uh, uh, I liked history, but I was not passionate about it actually. So I was like, I'm not passionate about this. I can't imagine myself. I did it something like a hobby, like a pastime, to keep. I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say I was passionate about it. Like I enjoyed being in class and I looked forward to the biology class. I would be very disappointed if there was no biology class. Then, so I was very, very lost. Added to this, in my school, I didn't realize that for very complex subjects, like such as, or for any simple subjects too, during this time when something is introduced to you for the first time, and this is not just for school, this could be for college, even at this age, when I go to conferences or when I go to seminars, it depends a lot on the person teaching you or imparting you that knowledge, how interestingly they do it, how passionate they themselves are about the subject. But an element is, how much do they care to get across to the people, to their audience? And there are some excellent teachers in the world, but sad to say, there are some really bad teachers in the world too. so who are probably just doing teaching because they couldn't do anything else or whatever, or maybe they just don't have that aptitude. So we had the entire class, we had a terrible physics teacher, and so uh, and she was new. She actually didn't last there. She was only there for a year and she was gone. People probably don't even remember her. But the first unit test, uh, the entire class, including the top 10 rankers, um, we all failed. Um, and But the reaction and the effect that it had, so the marks to pass the test was 25 marks, so we all got like 2, 8. No, 8 was the highest mark that somebody got. And that was like the first and second ranker I was typically a third ranker. They got 8, and I think I got like a 5 or a 4. Or maybe I also got like an 8 or a 10, something very, very less. So we all failed. We all failed that test. But the way the rest of the rank holders reacted to it was very different than the way I reacted to it. So, for the rest of the rank holders, they came from typical middle class families where their path was very clear. They all knew whether they wanted to be an engineer or a doctor. They were just told they wanted it. They were not complaining about it. They themselves wanted it. And they all knew that the path to get there was through academic achievement. So the fact that it was a failure means that they would do what it takes now to get it to a 25 on 25 or 23 on 25. That's the kind of scoring. Mine was not so much, oh my God, I got a fail mark, because in my home, they didn't really care about marks. So that didn't terrify me. I didn't feel ashamed to show that. In fact, they didn't even check my marks. They never checked. But my thing was, it added to my anxiety, it added to my confusion about, okay, now what? I thought I liked biology and I thought I'll become a doctor, but I'm terrible at physics, so, and I'm supposed to do what I like, and what do I like? It added to my confusion, and it added like a great deal of anxiety. So, um, so at that point in time, I think I covered in 13.0 ginger beer, lemonade, and picnics or whatever. That during this time, because of that Enid Blyton connection and shared passion, I had gotten really, really close to my youngest aunt, my Radhatya, because it was we used to discuss a lot on Enid Blyton books and other literatures and characters. So I'd gotten really close to it, close to her. And the other thing I realized, interestingly, is um, it suddenly occurred to me that I didn't really have at home somebody who could guide me uh, how to be a high academic achiever. Okay, and I'll elaborate on it. So, my entire family is full of extremely intelligent people, many of them bordering on like genius. But what I wanted, but they were not, none of them, to my recollection at that point in time, consistently were gold medalists or first rankers. And I wanted, that was who I wanted guidance from. How do they get there? You know? And suddenly I realized that, uh, yes, I'm surrounded by very wise people, very intelligent people who are brainy, but I don't have a role model on a person who has gotten first rank and who's at the pinnacle of academic achievement consistently through high school, which well, I was in high school, college. I didn't. And I thought, like, who are these people? Then I realized that there were two individuals in my extended family that I knew of. I'm sure there are others, but I don't know. I don't know that there are others who actually fit that bill. And one was my oldest, like Ataya, my Anuradha Ataya. I'm her namesake. And the second person, like right in my backyard, was my Radhatya. So they were the only people who had consistently been at that pinnacle of academic achievement. So I'm like, okay, these are my role models. At that point, Anuradha, I hardly knew her. I'd met her like once or twice when I was like 7 years old, um, and I didn't really know her at all. Um, but so, and she was not accessible to me. They were in the USA, so, but Radhateya was accessible to me. She was right in my backyard, and I thought, how did I forget that Radhateya had been consistently a gold medalist, first ranker. in high school, in college, in intermediate, always. That's all she ever knew how to get. I don't ever remember her. And this is not just in college, she was a state ranker. She was many times like university gold medalist. I'm not talking at the college level. I'm like, this is who I need to ask. This is who needs to guide me. And I'm thinking, of course. Very, very luckily for me, she was right in my backyard. They used to live upstairs. So I shared with her. So when I shared with my family, it didn't go very far. Like if you got 8 marks, first of all, marks didn't matter to them. So it was not a big deal that I failed physics. It mattered to them what I liked and what I disliked. And I didn't really know what I liked and disliked. And that whole thing was confusing me and creating a great deal of anxiety. But definitely I felt a first ranker, a gold medalist, would be able to relate how terribly disappointed I was, how terribly anxious this made me about my future that I failed the very first physics test. Of course, everybody failed, but for me, like I failed. So I shared with her that I'm very disappointed. I was almost in tears, and I could show her my vulnerability a lot. I could cry in front of her. That's the one thing that I could do in front of her. So normally people get annoyed when people cry, like they feel very uncomfortable. So, but I could feel very comfortable being vulnerable in front of her. So I think I might have cried, I don't remember. But anyways, I told her this. And then she goes like, okay, don't worry about it. It's probably the teacher. So let's see what we can do. And she said this bizarre thing to get you 25 out of 25. So I go, oh, no, Ataya, like I'm not aiming for that. I cannot get 25 out of 25. Then she goes, why not? Why can't you get 25 out of 25? And I was like, no, I just don't want to fail. Like I'm happy with 16 or like a passing. I think passing mark was 12 or 13 or something like that, 50%. So I was like, I'm happy with the passing mark. Of course, if I get 8, I cannot get that. So now I'm really worried about I don't think this is my passion. I don't think I can be a doctor. And she was like, but why can't you get 25 out of 25? I absolutely think you can. Then I said something like, no, Ataya, you are very intelligent. You're very bright. You've always been a first ranker. I'm not like that. I've not always been a first ranker. I sometimes get third rank, fifth rank, seventh rank. So I've not been that. So it's easy for you to say. And that's when she smiled and she told me the most inspirational story for me. It's a very simple story, actually, but it's etched in my mind. It gave me so much confidence. It changed my life forever. It changed how I think about achievement. So she smiled and said, that's not true. And I did not know. I'm like, no, it's not. No, and I don't remember her exact words, but I'll tell you the gist of what she told me. And there was, at the point that she was telling me the story, actually, she also showed me pictures of her childhood. And there's a picture of hers. And whenever I'm thinking that I cannot achieve something, I actually think of that picture. It's completely unrelated to achievement, actually. It is a picture of a very roly-poly chubby Radhatya in Nehru Zoological Park, very happily drinking water out of a tap like this, and the water splashing. So that's my inspirational picture. Like there's nothing inspirational about it. It's just a regular picture. But I associate that picture with this conversation because we were actually looking at pictures of her childhood when she was telling me this inspirational story. Again, it's an ordinary story, but it really inspired me. came at a time where I needed that. I needed to hear this story. So for me, if I can say that if there's a story that changed my life, that changed how I think of myself for the rest of my life, including up till now, it was this. So Raditya, for whatever reason, she's the middle child, as I am, out of five children. So whatever reason, I don't know the reasons, her parents, both of whom are extremely well educated, extremely, especially her father is a brilliant mind. Brilliant is the word. I don't know the reason, but just her, when she was a baby, she was raised by her grandmother in either it's East Godavari or West Godavari district, but basically it was a district in Andhra, where they didn't have English medium schools, they only had Telugu medium schools, and also she didn't have any like English speaking, convent educated people around her during that time. She was sent off as a baby, I think, and she went to school there, and she was raised by her grandmother. If I'm not mistaken, it was in Eluru. I could be mistaken. I don't know if Eluru is in East Godavari or West Godavari district, but it was that uh, Godavari district, I think. So she was there till she was 8 years old, I think. And around that time is when she or she maybe she was sent when she was 8, but I think she was there till she was 8, and then she came back in 7th. But anyways, she spent many of her younger years there. Very happy go lucky child and all that. But when at some point, I think around this time, she was taken back by her parents. Whatever situation they had that they had to send her, I think they brought her back to the city. That was her first time actually living in the city. She was enrolled in an English speaking convent school called Holy Mary Convent. And the way she dressed, the way she moved, the way she talked was very different in school. And she was actually bullied a lot for her, not just for her English, which she could barely speak fluently, but also for her Telugu, because her Telugu was a different accent, which is the Rajahmundry accent. So she would imitate. I said, "No, I can't believe it. Isn't the Telugu better there?" And she goes, "No," and she imitated me, and I still remember this line that she imitated, because she said, "No, they speak like yeah, Mandoy, Abulgaru," like that. So she said she would speak like that. She would speak like her grandmother, and she would speak in that East Godavari, West Godavari accent. Actually, the East Godavari, West Godavari accent also is a little different from each other. I learned that later in life. So she was bullied mercilessly at school, but she was also actually kind of bullied at home, which I didn't realize that. Because in a funny way, because her brothers, especially the older of her younger brothers, found it very funny. And when she goes, Evando Abul Garu, she would run behind her and he would pull her hair and he would say, Mali Cheppu, like he would make her repeat just so that he can make fun of her. And she was not faring so well because she was dealing with all this. It was very difficult. Then she made up her mind of her goal. Okay, so she said, I want when the 7th grade SSC exams come, she said, I'm going to top this exam. That's it. She made that goal. She didn't first decide what do I like, what can I do, what suits me, what's my passion. No, she had a goal. I'm going to top this exam. And me as an 8th grader I was like, but wouldn't you want to assess what your capability is or what your passion is? She's like, no, that's my goal. I'm going to top that exam and I'm going to do whatever it takes to top that exam. So she started reading a lot. That's where her love for reading comes. Her vocabulary grew by leaps and bounds, and her English became very good. And she started observing, and she started her dressing style. She changed her dressing style. When I first met her, she used to always be in Western clothes, pant and shirt and bicycling. But she said that didn't come that easily to her. She made a goal that I want to dress like this. I want to be this kind of a person. She didn't first sit and decide what am I capable of, what is my like, what is my dislike. She just said, this is what I want. And she did whatever it took to get her there. So I said, how did you deal with like not liking math? She said, Anu, I never thought whether I like math or not. I never thought for me, that's what I wanted. And for me to get there, I had to top. I had to do this. I had to be good at it. Whether I liked it or not was not my concern. It was, if I didn't like it, like, that would stop me from getting to my goal. So she said, always think of your goal. What is your goal? I want to be a doctor, Attaya. She said, that's like many years down the road. What is your immediate goal? Can I have a goal that I also do want to be the top? Then she said, why not? Have that goal. What's your goal for this year? And then work towards it. Don't get bogged down and bothered. I like chemistry, I like geography, this is my passion, this is not my passion. Just make a goal and just work towards it, because otherwise you're going to get completely confused. Somehow I know this is a simple story but it was very inspirational, because she also told me she not only topped in 7th grade, she topped the school for sure, but I think also the boards. She was the first rank holder in Holy Mary at 10th class. She continued that. She topped her intermediate exams. She was the first rank holder. First rank, like first in the entire exam, in the entire college. She went to Vanita College. Then, when she was having this conversation, by that time, she was just doing her, I think just finished her degree. And she received double promotions, and she was also the first rank holder in her degree, in her BA. First rank at that point at the university level. She was a gold medalist. Later on, of course, few years after this conversation, she was also the gold medalist in her MA. She has a double MA. She has an MA in economics from Annamalai University, I think, through correspondence. But she also has an MA in political science, I believe, and other subjects. But she was the university topper there also. But that happened later. So this was a person who just just didn't talk the talk, but walked the walk too. So she had achieved what she was saying. So this was very inspirational, and then from this point onwards, I could talk to her about techniques on how to like, for example, what I started examining. What does it take? So I didn't anymore worry about, am I enjoying this subject? Am I having fun doing this? What is my passion? That was all aside. For me, I was very methodical. What is stopping me from getting good at math? Where am I struggling? I realized that I had a problem memorizing stuff, which is interesting. People think I'm very good at memorizing. Actually, I'm terrible at memorizing numbers or formulas or anything. I'm good at remembering, which is different than memorizing. I'm good at remembering incidents, feelings, thoughts, events. But I wouldn't remember your phone number for the life of me if you tell me. I have to memorize it. And even then, I'll not be very good at it. So I realized that I was terrible at memorizing. I struggled and struggled and struggled. There were various techniques. I would try to by heart it by saying it aloud, and like how people say, I couldn't memorize anything. So I realized that wherever I thought I was weak, I was not really weak. I was really good at biology because it was all process oriented pictures. So I could remember, oh, this digestive system works like this. I could just see the picture and I could kind of visualize it. It was like a process to me. But math, algebra, wherever I was weak, physics, chemistry, it was to do with remembering formula, like, atomic structures, and it was to do with remembering numbers, especially numbers, not processes, not names. So, and if you didn't know the formula, you just couldn't solve it. You could derive the formula, 1 hour it would take, but then the exam would be over. You needed to remember all these formulae. So I went to her and said, "This is my problem." And she was really good at memorizing. But she was actually an exceptionally intelligent person. That's why she was good at memorizing. So so people have this misunderstanding that there's memorizers or there's intelligent, but actually memorizing capability is a subset of being exceptionally intelligent. So she actually taught me a technique where you would go through everything and she would try to think what she would remember, and then what she didn't remember she would put like a little symbol on it, and then she would go back only to the ones that she marked as a symbol, and what she still didn't remember she would change the symbol a little bit, then she would go back. This technique I used for my all my competitive exams. I became a very good exam taker eventually later in life, and I also taught this technique to my younger daughter, or actually I think she learned it on her own, but it happens to be the same technique. um, so it got passed down. It is very effective. So I still wasn't so hardworking as her. I never still did get first rank, but I got back to my third rank position very soon. From that point onwards, about my career or future, I would think very differently. I would not get bogged down by, do I like this? Do I like doing this? No, I would focus to what do I want to be eventually? What do I want to do eventually? Not even eventually. What do I want to do this year? How do I top this? How do I get this? What is stopping me? What can I do to get over this hurdle? Very methodical way of thinking. I think like that even at work. I think like that in my projects. I teach my team how to think like that. Um, so it's very easy to get bogged down by, oh, this project is not working because somebody doesn't like this, or I don't like this part. It's not about like, dislike. Let's get down to business and let's see what's stopping us and let's see how we can overcome that. It's a very winning attitude. Um, and she cleared a lot of confusion for me. My anxiety was gone, at least as far as academics was concerned. I'm so grateful to her for that. But this is an inspiring story. At some point, actually, this picture of her drinking from the tap is only in my mind. I think I have to ask one of her children to send it to me because as I grow old, it may not be in my mind. Maybe I've already distorted it a little bit. But that's the picture I think of, and I think of her story whenever I think I can't do something. I truly believe that anybody can do anything, unless you have some mental or physical disability or other financial disability. Otherwise, I really feel anybody can do anything if there's a heart to it. And I learned that from Radhatya. So I went way over time, but it's a very important lesson. It's obvious. Uh, be goal oriented. Don't get bogged down by what is stopping me, what is hurting me. Like, do I like it? Do I not like it? That's all noise. And then just look at, like Arjuna looks, right? Look at your goal, see what are the obstructions, see if you have the capability to get over that obstruction, remove that obstruction, reach that goal, and do baby steps. Don't think about what I want to be 15 years from now, 5 years from now. It's good to have a general idea, but what do you want to achieve this year? What do you want to achieve today? And I don't necessarily practice what I preach. I'm a biggest procrastinator, but if you can practice it, this method actually helps a lot. So that's it, and I close, and I'll come back tomorrow with 13.2. Okay, bye.